Good morning, everybody. Hope you had a good weekend. Get started here in about 2 minutes. Good morning, everybody. We'll get started here in about a minute and a half. Let's give everybody a chance to dial in. Good morning, everybody. We'll get started. 1 minute. 1 minute. We'll get started. Start about 30 seconds, everybody. Okay, we'll get started. So, as a show of hands, how many of you would like to work less hours and double your income? Work less hours and double your income. Yeas or nays? Y for yes, N for no. Work less, double your income. I'm going to give you a really easy way to do that. Only 2 people. Everybody else can get off the call, and we'll just I'll give these 2 people the how you do that. So really, guys, come on. It doesn't not a huge good. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now we're getting a lot more. Perfect. Thank you. So here's how you do it. You hold yourself accountable. How do you hold yourself accountable? Well, this is my wacky to-do list system that helped 1,000 people. It's not mine. I got this offline. But this right here, and I'm going to ask you why. Why do you think that this is will double your income and work less? So here's how you do it. First of all, you have to write down your date on the top. Then number 2, list all tasks for the day. You write down the realistic amount of tasks I can do. But I would be cautious not to overload myself. 6 tasks maximum, or I know I won't finish. And I would even say closer to 3. So certainly no more than 6. 3 is the best number. Write my meeting times. You're going to write down your meeting times. Okay. Top right, I write down my scheduled meetings inside of this. So the change I would make here is this should be 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 11 to 12, 1 to 12 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5. So have those written down here. On the top right, I write down my schedule. So then put in whatever scheduled meetings you have. In my head, that day is going to look like super helpful. I'm sorry. What am I doing here? My meeting times go right here. That's where the appointments go. This 4 is where I was talking about here is what you did during these hours. First hour, second hour, third hour. So 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, 12 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5. Right done. And this right here is what's going to double your income. This right here is going to double your income. Keep track. At the end of the day, every hour I write down what I accomplished. This kicks me in the butt to get back on track if I realize I slacked off for that hour. It also gives me a snapshot of the hours that I was most productive so I can optimize my energy, and then a summary of the day. But this number 4 is what does it, because every guy I've talked to that I've helped double their income, and I've had guys at quintuple their income when they came on. They're making about 200, got all the way up to $1 million within 2 years. Came on board 200,000 a year, making $1 million within a couple of years. How did they do it? Well, this is the first exercise that I have them do, and I have them do this just for 2 weeks, and that is this number 4, I didn't even have them do any of this other stuff, just number 4. I think this other stuff is helpful, but this number 4 is what did it for them. I said, I want you to write down every single hour what you did that hour. And actually, I have them break it down to every half hour, what you did. And so have a timer, set your watch, set your phone to ring at every half hour, and then write down what you did for that half hour. Write down what you did for that half hour. And these were, I mean, $200,000 in today's world is not an unsuccessful person. But how they went from 200,000, and they were at that level for a few years before, a few years, they kind of hit a plateau, couldn't get further, and they busted out from 200,000 to $1 million. Now, how did they do that? Why do you think, guys, why do you think this section here, when I had them for 2 weeks, write down what they did for every half hour, and then I had a conversation with them 2 weeks later. What do you think they found out about the time they were spending? Were they working? And these guys were all working, came in the office at 8, left at 5. They were working a normal work hour. But how many hours a day were they actually working? It's what should you be doing? So you have your appointments, okay? You have your appointments. You have your prep for your appointments. But guys, how long? Well, I'll give you a question here. How long did it take me to prep for my meetings? And I was running 30 appointments, guys. I was running 30 appointments a week. When did I do my meeting prep? Does anybody remember? 30 appointments a week on average. 30 appointments a week. When was I doing my prep? Saturday mornings, right, Nick? Saturday mornings. So did I have during the week, did I have anything here where I was doing meeting prep? Now here's the funny thing. Prepping for 30 meetings, the funny thing is though, because once you understand how you're doing the system, you're doing the same thing over and over and over. So you don't need to memorize anything. The only thing I was doing is actually preparing 21-point checklists. So I was doing maybe 2 or 3 21-point checklists, and I'd come in at 6 in the morning on Saturday, and I never had to stay longer than 7:30, maybe 8 o'clock. I wanted to spend that the weekend with my family. So that means at most I spent 2 hours doing 3 21-point checklists. How long does it really take to do a 21-point checklist, guys? How long should it take you to do a 21-point checklist? And I'm not asking you to come in on Saturday morning to do this, but even if you were doing it during the week, how long should it take you all day to do a 20-point checklist, or should it take you no more than an hour? For me, it took me a half hour. Of course, I was doing a lot of them, so I got really good at it. But how long should it take you to do? And remember, guys, when I was doing it, we didn't have software to do that. We did not have software. I was doing it all by hand, all with Windows Word. So how long should it take? So you shouldn't be doing a lot of meeting prep here. Should you be reading the paper here? Should you be doing research here? If you want to double your income, triple your income, quadruple or quintuple your income, if you have a blank here, what should you be doing? What should you be doing, guys? If you have a blank here, what should you be doing? What do you think? Come on, guys, what should you be doing? Getting better at the system. Heck, if I have a blank here, I'll do a 15-minute drill 4 times. If I have a blank here, I do a 15-minute drill 4 times. If I have a blank here, I do a 15-minute drill 4 times. How much better at the end of the day am I going to be if I did a whole hour spread out throughout the day of 15-minute drills? 2 hours of 15-minute drills. How much better am I getting? Or I'm going to take, this morning free, I'm going to work on my scripts. Because guys, the script, we've gone over this over and over and over this, and you've all agreed that if you follow the scripts the way they're laid out, people will say exactly what you want them to say, which is that they don't trust their advisor anymore. Should I say it's hard to do that? No. Should I say I'm too old? Guys, I'm learning Spanish right now. So I'm 63 years old and I'm learning Spanish. And I can make an excuse that it's hard, or I can just do what? Just do it. I'm not making a cent by learning Spanish. I'm telling you, you could make $2 million a year. $2 million, guys, if you knew the script backwards and forwards, you would make $2 million a year if you worked 40 hours a week. So what should you be doing if you have blanks here? If you're not seeing people, you should be learning the script. Because if you learn the script and you know backwards and forwards, what's going to happen here? So that's a little riddle. If you learn the script backwards and forwards, what is going to happen here? What will happen here? If you know the script backwards and forwards, you don't know it till you get it right. You know it till you can't get it wrong. What's going to happen right here? These are going to turn into what? These 4s are going to turn into 3s. You're going to fill it full of appointments. Why? Because are you afraid of marketing anymore? Are you afraid of spending money on marketing? No, because you know virtually every person you get in front of, you're going to get them to move not some of their money, but all their money. So guys, this is a fantastic tool. And how much does it cost you to use this tool, guys? How much does it cost you to use this tool? Whatever a legal pad costs. That's it. Make sense? So today I want to walk you through a retirement quiz to see how well you do. And this is this would be a great lunch and learn for your clients, a great lunch and learn for your warm list. It's a fantastic way to let people know what they do and they do not know. So let's see how you guys do on this retirement quiz. So research by Fidelity Investments recommends that workers should aim to save what multiple of their ending salary at age 67 in order to meet their basic retirement needs. Now, first of all, this is age 67. If they retire earlier, they'll need more or less. If they retire earlier, they need more or less. And then we're going to actually have another question on this pretty soon about how many people actually retire at age 67. Now, they're going to need more, Dale. Exactly right. They need 67. So give me some answers, guys. What do you think? They need 4 times their salary at age 67, 6 times their salary, 8 times their salary, 10 times their salary. What do you think it would be? A, B, C, D. Guys, you are financial advisors. You're giving advice to people hiring you to do that, paying you thousands of dollars a year to give them advice. So you should be able to answer these questions. You should be able to answer these questions. The answer is C. The math is based in part on a worker beginning to save at age 25 and living to age 92. So a household with an annual income of $100,000 would need a minimum of $800,000 to meet basic income needs in retirement. And that's basic income needs. That's not going on vacation. It's not buying fancy new cars. That's a roof over their head, heat in the furnace, and food in their mouth. $800,000 minimum. The catch is that according to a conservative estimate, that's a conservative estimate. The National Institute of Retirement Security, by contrast, Ann Hewitt, a human resources consulting firm, estimates it's 11 times their salary needed, that's going to be throwing in the other things, clothing, other occasional vacation, things like that. So that's more or less than you think most people would guess. More or less. Question number 2. A popular rule of thumb states that retirees will need 70 to 80% of their pre-retirement income in later life. Some of the best research into replacement ratios by Ann Hewitt and Georgia State University has found that a good benchmark is what? So the popular rule is 70 to 80%. What do you think the thumb rule is? And you can kind of do some math from the previous question. What do you think the answer is there? A, B, C, or D? A, B, C, or D? C. This is the one case where the rule of thumb isn't far off the mark. So it's not that much different than 70 or 80%, but over time, that 5% balloons, right? In its own study of replacement ratios, the Social Security Administration has noted that households typically need less income later in life because income taxes are lower, people no longer need to save for retirement, and the work-related expenses are reduced or eliminated. That said, the best way to identify one's replacement ratio is to draw up a detailed budget for later life, which means what, guys? Should people be using these thumb rules? Yay or nay? Should people be using these thumb rules? Yay or nay? Whether it's 70, 80, or 85%. Should they be using this thumb rule? So I just basically retired. Did I use these thumb rules? No. What did I do? I spent a whole year and I detailed all of my expenses, and guess what I had? I didn't have a guesstimate. I had the exact amount that I would need for retirement. That's what you should be helping your clients do. Now, when you ask them to do that, should you be telling them that you're doing that to, you have to be really careful. When you ask a client to draw up or keep track of their expenses, you need to make sure you're telling them, I'm not doing this so that I can tell you to spend less. That is not why we're doing this. I'm not telling you, to do this so that I can later at the end of the year tell you to spend less. The reason I'm doing this is so we have an accurate number. If we have an accurate number of what you need, that means we are better at investment planning. We're better at tax planning. We're better at preserving your assets for the future. We're better at making sure that you pass on a lot more to your kids. So this is not for me to say, hey, you're spending way too much money. This is so we can be more tax efficient, more investment efficient, more estate plan efficient. That's why we're doing this. But you need that actual number to be a good advisor. Because you've heard the old saying, garbage in, guess what? Garbage out. So help your clients come up. And this is again, if you're doing it in a lunch and learn with your clients, would this be a good conversation to have with them on why it makes sense to know the exact number instead of using a ratio? Yay or nay? Question 3. What percentage of surveyed workers age 55 plus said they or their spouse have tried to calculate how much they will need to live comfortably in retirement? 34%, 44%, 54%, 64%. Again, that's what we're talking about right here, right? Take a whole year and actually keep track of your expenses. It's not that difficult. Guys, where do all the expenses go through? Where will all your expenses go through? Your credit card, unless you do something differently than I do, your credit card expenses, your automatic withdrawals from your checking account. I mean, where do all those withdrawals go to? What document could you look at every single month and figure out where you're spending your money? What document could you look at every single month and figure out where you're spending your money? Your statement. Which statement? Which statement? Checking account. Checking account. That's all you need to look at. Look at your checking account statement once a month. And do you need to be exact? You said you'd have eating out, vacations, utilities, housing expenses, gas. You don't have to have a multitude of categories to figure out where that money's going. So what did you think this was? Which answer? B. Only about half of workers approaching retirement have done a savings need calculation. According to the Employee Benefits Research Institute, one encouraging development is that the figure from January this year is up from, this is old. This year is up from 42% in 2003. So it hasn't, in 20 years, it hasn't changed much. No, it's still about half the workers know. How many of your clients knew when you met with them what they would need per year to live comfortably? Is it more than half? Yay or nay? More than half, yay or nay? Among workers age 55 plus, what percentage think they need to save $250,000 or more for retirement? And what percentage has already saved that amount? Again, hopefully you're working with clients that have saved more than $250,000. But sure, you've seen people come into your office with less than $250,000. So what percentage think they need $250,000 or more? So 54% think that they do need more.
but only 24% have saved that much. That's with D and A. So 54% think they need to save $250,000 or more. That's good because they're going to need more than $250,000 or more. But only 24% of 55-year-olds. And again, we kind of live in a silo because we're working with the upper middle income to affluent clientele. So this is looking at everybody. So what is this telling us about how many people are going to be in trouble going forward? How many people are going to be in trouble with income going forward? A lot. About half thinking that's like it's $250,000, not including guys, is needed, and again, at least $250,000. The fewer than 1 in 4 have reached that goal. Number 5, what is the average age at which current retirees say they actually retired, and what is the expected retirement age among current retired workers? Average retirement age versus expected retirement age. Well, first of all, how many people think they're going to retire later than they actually retire? Do you think people retire later than they thought they would, or do you think they retire earlier than they thought they would? Think people will retire later than they thought they would? This is a trick question. Think people would retire earlier than they thought they would, or later than they thought they would? And the reason it's a trick question is because when I say earlier than they thought they would or later than they thought they would, a lot of people are retiring later than they thought they would, but not at their current job. Not at their current job. They've had to go back to work and work at a less at a job that pays a lot less than their higher paying job. Way too many people actually are forced to leave their current job, their higher paying job, earlier than they thought they would, earlier than they would have liked. So people are being, and do you think that's the case, guys? Do you think people are being forced out of their job earlier, their high paying job? Because remember, you're paid the highest, not when you're 20 years old, but when you're 59, 60, 61 year old. You're at your highest level of pay. What do companies like to do with employees that are at the highest level of pay? Also, what happens to people's health? Are they healthier at 20? Or are they healthier at 60, 61? So as people age, they've got two things going against them. One is their health. Number 2 is their company wants to get rid of the highest paid employees. So people would like to work longer, but many, many, many people have to retire earlier from their high-paying job than they would like. Unfortunately, not everybody, but a lot of people have to retire earlier from their high-paying job than they thought they would. Now, then they have to go back to work at a lower-paying job. So answers B and C. So the average retirement age among current retirees is 60. How many people think they're going to retire at 60? Expected retirement age is C, 67. See, most people think they're going to work to 67. Too many are being forced out of their jobs at 60 by health or by the company. What percentage of retired workers say they plan to continue working for pay in later life? And what percentage of current retirees say they have worked for pay? So how many plan to work and how many continue to work? A, half of them say they want to continue to work. And C, 35% of them actually do. What percentage of U.S. households are at risk of not having enough savings to maintain their retirement standards in living? C, 53, half. And again, we saw that in the earlier question, right? Oops, if you're retired at age 65, what percentage of your life can you expect to live in retirement? D, 23% of your life. If you're retired at 65, you still have 25% of your life to live with no or with very low income from Social Security. A 65-year-old couple retires in 2022. How much money will they need to cover medical expenses? This is medical expenses out of pocket, not, this is above and beyond what Medicare will pay for. How much should they expect to pay over their lifetime, a 65-year-old couple? Everybody give me that answer. So we only have one answer. More people give me that answer. Give me an answer. It doesn't take, guys, it doesn't take long to type in A, B, C, or D. You should all know this. A. Fidelity poll of pre-retirees aged 55 to 64 found that nearly half, 48%, believe they will only need $50,000 to pay for healthcare costs. Guys, they think $50,000. If you ask your clients, how many of them would realize it's going to be $315,000 above and beyond a Medicaid pick? Now, again, that's not in 1 year. That's spread out over a quarter of their lifetime, right? To age 92. On average, the last person of the couple will die at age 92. That means it's not all coming at once, but it's coming. And would that put is that a significant or a small amount of money in most people's retirement portfolio? The estimated $315 does not include possible costs of over-the-counter medications, most dental services, and long-term care. That does not include pharmaceuticals, dental care, and long-term care. So that could be a lot higher. And those are 2023 numbers. The national average monthly charge for assisted living care, one bedroom, single occupancy in a private room in nursing home are. So first of all, what would you guess for assisted care living per month? What would you guess? $1,400, $2,400, $3,400, $5,300. And then what would you guess the average is for a nursing home? $5,000 a month, $6,000 a month, $7,000 a month, $10,000 a month. So for assisted care living is D. $5,300 a month is what it costs for assisted care. For many expenses gradually fall into retirement because people, as they enter their mid to 80s, spend less time on travel and leisure. But there's a wild card, potential cost of long-term care. The annual cost of a private room in nursing home is now $107,000 a year. Guys, that's crazy. How many of your clients are prepared for that? What if they only needed a nursing home for 6 months? What if they only need it for a year? But assisted care, how many years can you live in assisted care, guys? I know my wife's parents, both their parents, her mother took care of her husband, my wife's father, for probably about 2 years as he slowly edged towards Alzheimer's until it was to the point where she could not take care of him anymore. And then he lived more than a year in nursing home, and now she herself has been in assisted care living for 3 years. She's been in assisted care living for 3 years. So how much money have they spent on long-term care? And they were healthy folks. And is that unrealistic or realistic for that to happen? It's not going to happen to everybody, but is that like, oh, that only happens to 1 in a million? Or does that happen all the single time? It happens all the time. Question 11. A household age 65 is living on $120,000 a year. At 3% inflation, how much money would that household need at 75 and then at 85? So living on a household at 65 is living on $120,000 a year right now, between Social Security and drawing from their retirement. Again, that would be upper middle income or affluent, right? At 3% inflation, how much money would they need at 75 and at 85 per year? So first, what would they need at 75? You're all on your calculators right now, right? 141, 151, 161, 170. What would they need at age 85? So they would need, if they put another way, an annual grocery bill of $5,000 a day would be over $9,000 in 20 years. So they'd need $161,000 at age 75, just 10 years down the road. Instead of 120, they'll need 160. At age 85, instead of 120, they're going to need 217. Would that surprise most? Do most people understand? I mean, there's been a lot in the news, obviously, with the election about inflation, but do people really get what how inflation would affect their bills 10 years or 20 years in the future? And should you, as advisors, be telling them about that? So which is better, this is a trick question. We'll see how many of you can get it. Which is better, a 25% market decline followed by a 50% gain, or a 50% market decline followed by a 25% gain? Which is better, a 25% market decline followed by a 50% gain, or a 50% market decline followed by a 25% gain? We actually covered this in 2 of our presentations. We covered this not the exact numbers, but the exact problem in 2 of our presentations. So which one is worse? A loss than a gain than a loss, it depends on my age, or it doesn't matter? Which one? Nick, very good. Nick's got it. The answer is C, it depends on my age, because either way, the average return is still 12.5. Whether you lose 25 and gain 50, or gain 50 and lose 25, the average rate of return is still the same. The difference is if you're at an age where you're pulling money out. If you're pulling money out, then you have the sequence of risk return, which means a loss early on, a 50% market decline followed by 20% is going to kill you. So why do then, unless we have a crystal ball and can predict the market, why do we tell people, or why, the chart I've shown you over and over and over, the Mike Kitz's, chart we use in the FIA presentation, and I show it regularly. Why should you start out with 30% rate, 30%, no more than 30 to 40% in the market, and then you can move more and more in the market as time goes on? You should start at 30 or 40% in the market. Why? Because a loss early on in retirement is going to kill you. A loss later on in retirement does not affect you nearly as much because of the sequence of return risk. When is Social Security projected to not be able to pay benefits? Trick question. When is Social Security projected not to be able to pay any benefits? Trick question. How many can get this right? Very good, Nick. You are on fire today. The answer is A. It's always going to be able to pay benefits. It's in 2035 if they don't change things, that they're going to just have to reduce it to 83% based on current payroll taxes. That can change with AI taking jobs, with us kicking people out of the country. That can change. So payroll taxes can change, but based on today's payroll taxes, in 2035, they would still pay out just as they go 83% of promised benefits. But they're not saying as long as people are working, they're always going to get some Social Security benefits. It's just not going to end in 2035. Among the top 20% of household earners, among the top 25, which is the people we work with, hopefully, the top 20% of household earners, Social Security benefits are projected to replace what fraction of their earnings? What would you guess, guys? The top 20% of household earners, Social Security is projected to replace what fraction of those earnings? 9%, 19%, 29%, 39%. C, 29%. High earners tend to assume Social Security will play a small role in their retirement finances, but the payouts are larger and more important than households realize. So they need to, and again, you work with people who have money, they are still concerned about getting the most out of Social Security. What percentage of couples are completely confident that either partner is prepared to assume the responsibility of their joint retirement finances necessary? So again, we really leverage this to the 5Q system. What percentage of couples, both of them have the same knowledge when it comes to the finances? I myself, in fact, 2 weekends ago, put down a detailed asset balance for all of my assets and my wife's assets, and then wrote down in detail how she should spend those assets and what she should do if something should happen. So she has a PhD in psychology. She's no dummy. She should be able to do this stuff herself. But how many couples spend the exact same time on investment? Very few. It's usually one person knows, the other person does not know. Well, let's see. The answer is A, 28%. I think that's way high. I think that's way high. I think most couples, one person knows. Do you guys disagree with me? Most couples know, one of the person knows what's going on with finances. The other person knows what's going on with the family. One person knows how much money they have. and pays attention to taxes and pays attention to investments. The other person makes sure they don't miss a birthday and schedules Thanksgiving and organizes that, etc. How many couples really, do you think even this, I mean, they may say this, but how many couples, guys, for your example, for yourself, when you've met with couples, how many of them where both the husband and the wife know and are comfortable with the finances? Is that, you think that's more than 1 out of 4? That's what that's saying, more than 1 out of 4. Because what I saw was 0 out of 4. Am I out to lunch there, or are you seeing the same thing? Are you seeing more and more people now where the husband and the wife know the exact same? Because I think this is wrong. Fidelity says it's 1 out of 4 couples, 1 out of 3 couples, 1 out of 4 couples. I think it's 0 out of 4 couples. How about you guys? Prudential found that recently that 73% of husbands report being the main financial decision maker, but 35% of wives say they equally share the task. Guys, is this what you're seeing? Yeah or nay? Give me yes or no. Yeah or nay? Do you see that we're the 1 out of 4, the wife knows just as much about the investments as the husband? Yeah or nay? You people are answering. Come on, I want to see more of this. I want to see more answers to this so I know where we're at. Yeah or nay? Because I did not see that. See, the husband wears the pants in a relationship. I just tell him which ones to wear. We do leverage, guys. That's why the 5-2 work system works so well. We leverage that because one person takes care of the family, and it's those non-financial things that gets that person who takes care of the family, and generally the person who wears the pants in the family, that makes the final decision. It's just that up to this point, she's not been and it's generally going to be the wife, not always, but generally going to be the wife who takes care of the family. The husband takes care of the finances, not always, but if it's reversed, both roles are reversed. Where if the wife takes care of the finances, then the husband is taking care of the family. So it does happen, not often, but it does. But they do it this way. So the great thing is the person who cares about the family, when they want something and they put their foot down, they will get it. They will get it. The baby boomer, and here's the thing, you need to be concentrating on baby boomer women because they comprise the wealthiest demographic. Did you know that baby boomer women have the most money? They have the most money. Women control or influence 67% of household investment decisions and make 83% of overall purchasing decisions. Now, why am I saying that, hey, the husband takes care of the finances, but it's saying that over age 67, the women have control or influence over 67% of household investment decisions and make 83% of overall. Why? What's happening to men? They're dying, that's why. In a survey of 12,000 women, they found that the financial services is the industry that generated the most dissatisfaction in the industry. So in a survey of 12,000 women, financial services was the one that they did not like the most, both in services and in products. They do not like the financial services industry. Why? Why do you think women don't like the financial services industry? Because the financial services industry treats them like what? They know what's going on, or treats them like they don't know what's going on? They treat them like they don't know what's going on. How is our system different from that? How is the 5-2 system different from that? Do we treat either the husband or the wife or anybody that comes in like they don't know what's going on? Who is the person who's telling us about their situation? Who is the person that's telling us what they should do with their investment and their finances? With our system, who tells them what they should do? Who tells them what they should do with the 5-2 system? Who tells them what they should do? Either a husband or a wife, who tells them what they should do with our system? What is the 5-2 system based on? What technique is the 5-2 system based on? It's based on motivational interviewing. And with motivational interviewing, what we're doing is asking open-ended questions. So who is going to tell them what's going on with their finances? They're going to tell themselves. Who's going to tell them what they should do? They're going to tell themselves. Therefore, do we ever treat that person like they don't know what's going on? No, we facilitate them learning and telling themselves what they're going to do. That's why women love our system. That's why 70% of widows, and if you don't do it that way, 70% of widows leave their current advisor within a year of the husband's death. 70% of widows leave their current advisor within a year of the husband's death. An even higher percentage of divorced women leaving the current advisor. So guys, this is important. This is important. You need to understand what women really want. And they want to know, they want to understand. They want to trust the other person. And if I let them be right all the time, will they understand better? Yes. Will they trust me? Yes. I am not a person that women are going to generally like. I'm loud. I'm obnoxious. I'm brash. I'm blunt. But when I'm in real life, that's what I am. Obnoxious, brash, blunt. They're not going to like me in real life. But they love me in the 5Q system. Why? Because I'm not brash. I'm not blunt. I use the motivational interviewing, open-ended questions, gotching them, getting on their side, complimenting them, empowering them to be their own decision makers. They love me. My clients love me. People outside, women outside the system don't love me. They think I'm obnoxious. But inside the system, they love me because I let them be in charge. All I am is a facilitator. That's what happens. They're looking for a relationship that will allow them to learn, understand, and trust, and that's what I do. And who wins? Returns versus trust. If you get a high return or they trust you, so a person that gets them a high return they don't trust is going to lose. Even if you get a low return but they trust you, they're going to stay with you. See, what women are looking for is financial security in a family dynamic, a situation where they can trust that person. What men want is returns, returns, returns. And if all you worry about is returns, you're going to live by that sword, you're going to what? You're going to die by that sword. So what do women share while talking about the relationship on social media? They talk about dating tips and quotes. They talk about expectations from their husband, expectations from a relationship, humor, marriage, wants a relationship with a boyfriend, love stories, hate relationships, breakups, proposals, family pressures, private conversations. Is this look like what men talk about? Is this anywhere close to what men would talk about on social media? Is this even remotely the same as what men are going to talk about? No. The behavioral chart, men are hierarchical, women want to be included. They want to be collaborative, where men are very competitive. They want to have group discussions. Let's learn about this. They want to be independent, do their own thing, and make their own decisions. Men do. Women are looking for connections. Men want individualization. Women are looking for security. Men are looking for success. Guys, is this wrong? Is this chart wrong? Based on what you know in your relationship with your spouse, and more importantly, based on all the couples you've met in your career, is this wrong? And which one of these, the blue or the purple, is 5Q based on? Is it based on the female or the male? Based on the female. It's based on inclusiveness, collaborative, discussions, connection, and security. We're going to give them success, but we're not looking for these things. And guys, if your client is based on relationship, is based on hierarchical, competitive, independent, doing, and individualization, how long are you going to have that client, or how pleasant is that client going to be? How pleasant is that client going to be? Now, here's the great thing about motivational interviewing. Here's the great thing about the 5Q system. It does all of these things, but it does all of these things as well. How does it do these things? Because I let the guy feel like they're what? I let the guy feel like they're what? What do I let the guy feel? Well, that's right, Dale. I let him feel like he's in charge. But by answering all the questions through the 5Q system, he gets to feel like he's in charge. And when he figures out that his present advisor is screwing him, he's going to want to leave. That's the great thing about motivational interviewing. It's inclusive, it's collaborative, it's group discussions, it's connection, it's security. And by doing motivational interviewing, the male still thinks he's in charge, still thinks he's the number one, still thinks he's doing it by himself, and still thinks he's making decisions as an individual. That's okay. I'm okay with that because he's still going to move. So please, please, please engage your target audience. And who is that? It's both of them, But the one you really need on your side is the woman. So if I'm going to take a risk, am I going to risk communicating with the wife or communicating with the husband? The wife. Because when the wife really wants something, guess what? The reason she's not in charge of finances is because she don't care. She doesn't interested. It's not interesting to her. It's not entertaining to her. She's not competitive, trying to get the high, get an 8% instead of a 7% next year. That's not her thing. That's the guy's thing. She's like, fine, if you want to do that, fine. But if she puts her foot down and says, I don't trust that guy anymore. I don't want to work with that guy anymore. We need to move our money. What's going to happen? If she finally puts her foot down and says, we're moving the money, because she hasn't said anything. She hasn't said boo about finances for 20 years. But now she says, we're moving the friggin' money. Guess what's going to happen? They're moving the money. Because also remember, during the process, have I let the guy come to his own conclusion about his current advisor screwing them? Yes. So is he going to defend their current advisor at that point? He is not. We need to provide value. We need to make sure they understand families, everything. We need to collaborate. We storytell. We engage the target audience. We engage the spouse. You have to engage the wife. Remember, they're the ones that control the vast amount of money, because as time goes on, more and more money ends up in their pocket. So make sure you're doing that 15-minute drill. Like I said, if you're looking, go right back to where we started from. Right back to where we started from. If you let me get back up there. Sorry for giving you an epileptic fit here. If you do this every single day and you got blanks here, you need to be doing the 15-minute drill in there. You need to be working on the scripts here. If you do that, everything else will fall into place for you. You'll make as much money as you want with the least amount of time spent at your business as you want. And that's what we all want. We all want to make the most amount of money with the least amount of work and have the happiest clients. And that's what the 5Q system gives you. That's what the script gives you. That's what the skills that you get from doing the 15-minute drill do for you. Make sense? Awesome. You guys have a great rest of the week. We'll talk to you all next Monday. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.